joining us today at Miniature Wargaming Labs. Today we'll be looking at the New Yorkers from Funky Skulls game. These serve as objective tokens and NPCs for your games of Street Wars NYC. But honestly, they serve as great background characters. Pretty much any 1970s game that you're looking at. So have just average lady going about her day, person, everything, very 70s Harlem there. And then we have our New Yorker carrying a gas can, probably heading to make an insurance claim up in the Bronx. That was a problem in the 70s. So let's get these guys together, and on the table, so we can see here very slight mold lines down the pant leg. Nothing through the hair, happy about that. This guy's very clean actually. And these were $3 for the set, so you're looking at $1.50 per model. So let's get these guys together and on the mat. So I've got my New Yorkers cleaned and onto their bases. I have to say, originally when I was looking at this straight on, I thought this was a gas can, jerry can, petrol can, whatever you want to call it. Looking at the top is actually groceries. This thing I thought was a nozzle is actually a baguette, French bread right there. So he's got his groceries in there. But I could model it to be a gas can if I wanted to, but I'm not. So you can see she was probably the hardest to clean up just because she's a little more frail, and getting between this arm, the arm and the torso can be a bit tricky. But the hair survived, cleaning out the mold line there, and so did his. Let's see how they look on my gaming mat. So, the Frontline gaming mat I use for urban encounters. The 28mm bases fit in the sidewalks and the crosswalks. But I want to see how they fit in with the rest of my miniature line. So I got Jules and Vincent from Studio Miniatures, and in case the New Yorkers call in the A-team for a little assistance, also from Studio Miniatures. So you can see just the bases they come with, the height, the build. Studio Miniatures works perfectly. But I also want to compare it in case you're in Tokyo Town. I've got some Yakuza from North Star Miniatures 28mm line from their Yakuza box. And you can see, same thing, height and build, they work very well. And just as another random objective piece walking by, the Studio Miniatures 28mm banker businessman, he works. He's a little bit more frail, but that's alright, he fits in. And seeing how they compare to my favorite terrain, MCP, so if they're stopping at the bodega, even though it's scaled for 40mm, the 3-inch rise makes it good for 28mm gaming. The door works, the handle's a little high and the counter's a little high, but for someone walking by, it works out in the game. And for their homes, Thingiverse from 3DB Design Lab is a remix of the Brownstones put out by Terrain for Print. So you can see they fit well with that. So even though I wanted these for Batman and MCP, 3DB Design Lab made sure it's like the right size to fit anything from 28 to 40mm. So those work very well. So I like these models. They make a good objective piece in the game. They're good background citizens. But I'll say they're not absolutely essential. But if you're placing an order from the US to Scotland, you might as well throw them in for a couple extra bucks there. Well, thank you for joining us at Miniature Wargaming Labs, and we'll see you next time.